Right now, I live alone. The bed's too big. The house feels quiet. Sometimes I look around and wonder, how did we get here? Because if you asked anyone back then, they'd say we were perfect. We laughed a lot, we got along. We almost never fought. On the outside, we looked solid, but there was this crack. Small at first, easy to ignore. A crack that grew wider with every passing month. It wasn't about money or chores or respect. It was about something harder to talk about. Something we both tried to fix but never could. And in the end, it broke us. Our life together felt good, really good. Sunday mornings, my favorite. He'd tinker with some project at the table, little screws and wires everywhere. I'd read by the window with coffee. The cat would curl up in my lap. We didn't even have to talk. It was just easy. We had our little traditions. Friday pizza nights, arguing about the blanket, sharing earbuds on walks. I'd buy his favorite chips without asking. He'd always leave the last bite for me. That's what love looked like to me. Those little things. And intimacy. Yeah, I knew it was different for him. For me, once a week felt fine. Sometimes even that felt like a stretch. It's not that I hated being close. When it happened, it was good, but I didn't crave it. So Friday nights became our night. I'd tidy the bedroom, put on nicer pajamas. Sometimes I lit candles, tried to psych myself up. Some nights it worked. I'd get into it. I'd feel connected. Other nights I just wanted it over. I thought he understood. I thought the compromise meant we were okay. Then one night he told me it wasn't enough. Not angrily, not yelling, he just looked tired. He said he was frustrated, lonely. He said he didn't feel wanted. And that word wanted it cut deep. Because in my head, I wanted him. I wanted us, our life, our plans. But for him, wanting meant something else. I told him I couldn't do more. That's why we agreed to once a week. That's all I could give. We tried other things. More hugs, more kisses, just being close. And yeah, it helped, but not enough. I could feel the ache in his arms when he held me, like he was waiting for something I wasn't giving. He mentioned therapy once. I shot it down. I didn't want homework. I didn't want some stranger analyzing us. I told myself we're happy. We don't need that. But maybe we did. Then came the sentence, I don't think I can be happy like this. And that was it. 6 years together, 3 married, done in a moment. He moved out, sold his antique car, got a tiny apartment that doesn't allow pets. Meanwhile, I stayed here, with the house, with the cats, with everything that once felt like ours. But it doesn't feel the same. The cats don't wait by the door anymore. The silence is heavier now. At first, I was shattered, couldn't eat, couldn't sleep. I cried into pillows, into cereal, into nothing. I'd wake up and forget for 1 second, then remember. And slowly, the sadness turned into bitterness. Like, really? You gave all this up for closeness? For a number? Now you're alone in a shoebox apartment, while I still have the home, the pets, the comfort. You chose this. Sometimes I even laugh at the absurdity of it. He walked away from everything we built just for more intimacy? Idiot. But then the laugh fades. The house is still quiet. The chair's still empty. And in that silence, I start to wonder. Maybe it wasn't about the number at all. Maybe it was the way I never looked excited. Maybe he could feel that my body was just going through the motions. And that must have hurt. I keep telling myself I did my best. I kept the deal, I showed up. But was that really love? Or just obligation? Now I drink coffee alone. There's only one mug in the sink, only one side of the bed messed up in the morning. And every day I try to convince myself I'm fine. But when the quiet stretches too long, I hear that word again, wanted. And I wonder if maybe, just maybe, he wasn't the idiot after all. If you asked him, I think he'd tell you a very different story.
Yeah, I would. She thinks I left because once a week wasn't enough. That's not it. It wasn't about numbers. It was about how it felt. Every time I could see it, she wasn't into it. Her body was there, but not her heart. Once a week felt like an appointment, like she was crossing me off her to-do list. Do you know how crushing it is to realize the person you love most could go the rest of their life without touching you and they'd be perfectly fine? That's what it felt like. I didn't need closeness every day. I didn't even need it multiple times a week. I just needed to feel wanted. To feel like she looked at me and thought, God, I want him. But I never got that. I'd tell her I felt lonely. She'd hear I want twice a week. I'd say I want passion. She'd hear, you're not enough. It felt like we were speaking different languages. I held it in for a long time, told myself she's doing this for me, that should be enough. But it wasn't. I started feeling resentful, not at her, but at myself, like I was begging for scraps. I saw the future. Either I'd turn bitter or I'd cheat. And I never wanted to be that guy. So I left. I didn't plan it well. Shoved my stuff into boxes. Sold my car because I had nowhere to put it. Moved into a crappy apartment with walls so thin I can hear my neighbor's blender. I said goodbye to the cats. That one broke me. I hugged them like I was memorizing them. I walked out and left the keys on the counter. Felt like I was walking out of my own skin. Now, I eat takeout on the couch. Half my hobbies are in storage, money's tight, and yeah, I'm miserable. But I knew if I stayed, I'd rot. I'd turn into a man I didn't want to be. So I left before I became him. Here's the thing people don't get. It wasn't about intimacy itself. It was about being wanted, respected, chosen. She gave what she could, I believe, but I needed something she didn't have to give. Was I stupid? Maybe I traded stability, comfort, pets for emptiness. But sometimes emptiness is better than being full of doubt. I miss her. I miss the mornings, the little routines, the laugh we shared. But I don't miss feeling like a burden in my own marriage. She calls me an idiot, but to me, the bigger idiot would have been the man who stayed. We weren't bad people. We just weren't right for each other. She wanted safety. I wanted passion. Neither of us was wrong. We were just wrong together. So I'll ask you, would you stay in a life that feels safe but leaves you unwanted? Or would you risk losing everything just for the chance to be truly desired?